Official 6 months ago, the fines for parking violations on the city streets were raised to help pay for the parking garage that had just opened. Okay, so 6 months ago, the parking fees were raised to help pay for the parking garage. Okay. Since then, parking violations on our streets have dropped by 50%. So the number of parking violations has decreased. Hence, if we want there to be even fewer parking violations, the fine should be raised again.
This one.
I'm laughing so hard because, yeah, maybe there's just not as many people parking on the streets because people are parking in the parking garage.
Yeah, or I was just thinking like maybe like they got the parking ticket and then they realized that they can't park there. You know, like what if they didn't know they couldn't
Oh,
park?
right. Yeah. And you don't have repeat people.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh crap, I can't afford to fish out $50 again. Let me make sure.
Right. Yeah. I like both of those. Okay. So let's go through. A takes a possible effect of a reduction to be a possible cause of that reduction. Takes a possible effect. So the possible, okay, I kind of like, I don't want to, so on the test, I kind of like that one, but I'm going to pass over. I'm not going to sit here and think about it
Mhm.
because I don't want to waste time thinking about it, but I like it because I'm thinking that maybe the possible effect
Of
is,
happening.
that takes a possible effect is of a reduction is the fewer I don't like this wording. I think it's gonna be. I think there's gonna be a better one, but I'm thinking like, oh, they're saying that it's actually that less people are parking on the street, not
The
the
fines.
fine that's causing it.
Okay.
B takes for granted, so assumes that raising fines a second time will reduce parking violations at least as much as it did the first time. Maybe.
Yeah,
C
yeah.
fails to take into account the financial benefits. Okay, no, C is wrong. Takes for granted that people who park their cars illegally would prefer to park legally.
I kind of like that. I liked it just in a sense that it lined up with like, oh, I did something illegal and I have to pay a fine. Let me not do it again.
Is that, but this would
But they're
actually
saying I
help
want
our conclusion. Yeah.
yeah.
Fails to establish that the initial decrease in parking violations was not due to the availability. Yes, I think this is it. Fails to establish that the initial decrease in parking violations was not due to the availability of additional parking spaces. Yes, I love E.
So it's saying because there's a garage, people aren't.
Yeah, they don't
Oh,
establish that people aren't getting parking tickets, not that they're not getting them just because people are parking in the garage.
oh,
They don't establish that that's not happening. So that's why this is going to be our answer.
so this is like a third variable. That's
Yeah, it's like, yeah, no, people have just dropped because people are literally parking in the garage.
okay. So then B, we would say, sorry, I'm just trying to, for
No,
B,
of course, takes for
um,
granted that raising fines a second time. So we assume that raising fines a second time will reduce parking violations at least as much as it did the first time. Yeah, we definitely assume that.
right?
But
Like they're giving us more options, but I feel like you have to pick the.
I feel like our reasoning, our support, because it says the reasoning of the argument's official is flawed, and like our reasoning is more based on why we think there's going to be a decrease again.
Yeah, wouldn't there be a decrease again because of the parking fines?
No, what I'm saying is, like, if we're really we can, if we're the reason, like, why is the reasoning flawed? The reasoning is flawed because we don't consider E. The reasoning isn't flawed. Like the conclusion is flawed because of B.
So what's the reasoning? Is it the since then parking violations on our streets have dropped?
Yeah, we fail to establish like why is there this drop in 50%.
Okay.
Like yeah, like it definitely could. Maybe it will drop again, but we don't establish why it happened in the first place to see why it would happen again.
Okay.
So we provide no support.
Okay. And then A is
I didn't think this was completely like I left it open because I didn't want to think about it. But
yeah.
now it's easy for me to cross it off. Like takes a possible effect.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be the possible, like, of a reduction? Takes a possible effect of so the effect of a reduction would be, takes a possible effect of a reduction. What would be the possible effect of a reduction?
Wouldn't it be the dropping 50%?
Possible effect of a reduction. Fewer parking. So there being fewer parking violations is a possible cause of that reduction. So there being fewer parking violations is the cause of fewer parking. Yeah, that just doesn't make sense. There's nothing that you can fit in there to make it work.
Okay, I think my thing was that I dropped it. The effect was dropping 50% to be it dropping 50% is why people aren't parking there.
Right. I like that's kind of what I was thinking too. Like, but when you think about it, it really doesn't fit into the sentence structure.
Okay. All
You
right.
know, like, yeah.
Okay. I agree. I mean, okay, yay. That was a good one. It was